first. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So today being Guru Purnima, I thought we would chant the Guru Stotram. I will just put it on the screen for you, sharing the screen. You guys are not able to see the Stotram? Is it visible now, the Guru Stotram?
Yes, sir, it is visible now.
All right, so then let's just chant that. I'll start and you can chant with me. Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam
Vyaptam Yena Characharam
Tatpadam Darshitam Yena
Tatpadam Darshitam Yena
Asmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Abhijit,
Yeah.
we can't see the
It's
screen.
not open.
Yes, Guru Stotram is not yet.
I don't know why. All right.
Acharya, you'll have to look for you just have to open the document and
The document is visible right above me in front of my eyes.
it's showing us essentially the big folder.
All right, let me just, now let me try again. Okay now?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll start again. Akhanda Mandalakaram
Akhanda
Mandalakaram
Vyaptam Yena Characharam
Vyaptam Yena Characharam
Tatpadam Darshitam Yena
Tatpaditam Darshitam Yena
Asmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Ajnanatimmirandhasya
Ajnanatimmirandhasya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Chakshurunmilitam Yena
Chakshurunmilitam Yena
Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
तस्मै
श्री गुरुवे नमः।
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा
गुरुर्विष्णु
गुरुर्विष्णु
गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः
गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः
गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म
गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं
स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं
यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरम्
यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं
तत्पदं दर्शितं येन
तत्पदं दर्शितं येन
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं
चिन्मयं व्याप्यत्सर्वं
त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरम्
त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं
तत्पदं दर्शितं येन
तत्पदं दर्शितं येन
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्नः
सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्नः
विराजितपदाम्बुजः
विराजितपदाम्बुजः
वेदान्तम्बुजसूर्यो यः
वेदाम्बुजं सूर्यो यः
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
चैतन्य शाश्वत शान्तः
चैतन्य शाश्वत शान्तः
व्योमातीतो निरञ्जनः
व्योमातीतो निरञ्जनः
बिन्दुनादकलातीतः
बिन्दुनादकलातीतः
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
ज्ञानशक्तिसमारूढः
ज्ञानशक्तिसमारूढः
त्वमाला विभूषितः
तत्त्वमाला विभूषितः
मुक्तिमुक्तिप्रदाता च
मुक्तिमुक्तिप्रदाता च
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
अनेक जन्म संप्राप्त
अनेक जन्म संप्राप्त
कर्मबंध विदाहिने
कर्मबन्ध विदाहिने
आत्मज्ञान प्रदानेन
आत्मज्ञानप्रदानेन
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
शोषणं भवसिन्धोश्च
शोषणं भवसिन्धोश्च
ज्ञापनं सारसम्पदः
ज्ञापनं सारसम्पदः
गुरोः पादोदकं सम्यक्
गुरोः पदोदकं सम्यक्
अस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं
न गुरोरधिकं
तत्त्वं
न गुरोरधिकं तपः
न
न
गुरोरधिकं
गुरोरधिकं
तपः
तपः
तत्त्वज्ञानात् परं नास्ति
तत्त्वज्ञानात् परं नास्ति।
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
तस्मै
तस्मै
श्री गुरुवे नमः।
नमः।
मन्नाथ श्री जगन्नाथः
मन्नाथ श्री जगन्नाथ
मद्गुरु श्री जगद्गुरुः
मद्गुरु
श्री
जगद्गुरुः
मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा
मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
गुरुरादिरनादिश्च
गुरुरादिनादिश्च
गुरुरादिरनादिश्च
गुरुरादिरनादिश्च
गुरुः परमदैवतम्
गुरुः परं दैवतम्
गुरोः परतरं नास्ति
गुरुः परतरं नास्ति।
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः।
त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव
त्वमेव
माता च पिता
त्वमेव
त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव
त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा
त्वमेव
त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव
त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव
त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव
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 त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव।
Okay, so now we go back to the Shanti Patha. A lot of chanting today. Om Bhadram Karne Shrunuyama Devaha
Om Bhadram Karneभिः शृणुयाम देवाः।
We do it together, right? Let's start again. Om Bhadram Karne
शृणुयाम देवाः।
Bhadram
पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः।
Rangaiस्तुवागुंसस्तुनोभिः व्यशेम देवहितञ्यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः
स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः।
स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु
स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। शान्ति शान्तिः।
Okay, now we have to chant the second chapter, second section, first section. Okay, so we start that also. Avi sannihitam guhacharam nama.
Avi sanhitam guhacharam nama.
महत्पदं मैत्रत् समर्पितम्
महत्पदं समर्पितम्
एजत् प्राणानिमिषश्च
एजत्
प्राणानिमिषश्च
यदेतज्जानत सद् असद्वरेण्यम्
यदेतत् जानात् सद् असद्वरेण्यम्
परं विज्ञानाद् यद्वरिष्ठं प्रजानाम्
परं
परं
विज्ञानात्
विज्ञानाद्वरिष्ठं प्रजानाम्
यदा अर्चिमद् यदन्युभ्यो अनुच्च
यदच्चिमद्यदनुभयोऽनुच
यस्मिन् लोका निहिता लोकिनश्च
यस्मिन् लोका निहिता लोकिनश्च
तदेतदक्षरं ब्रह्म
तदेतदक्षरं ब्रह्म
स प्राणस्तदुवाङ्मनः
स प्राणस्तदुवाङ्मनः
तदेतत् सत्यं तदमृतम्
तदेतत् सत्यं तदमृतम्
तद्वेद्धव्यं सौम्य विद्धि
तद्वेद्धव्यं सौम्यविद्धि
सौम्य विधि
धनुर्गृहीत्वा उपनिषदं महास्त्रम्
धनुर्गृहीत्वोपनिषदं
शरं ह्युपासा निशतं सन्धयित
शरमुपासानिशितं सन्धयेत
आयं यतद्भावगतेन चेतसा
आयं यतद्भावगतेन चेतसा
लक्ष्यं तदेवाक्षरं सौम्य विद्धि
लक्ष्यं तदेवाक्षरं सौम्य विद्धि
प्रणवो धनुः
प्रणवो
धनुः
शरो ह्यात्मा
शरो ह्यात्मा
ब्रह्मतल्लक्ष्यमुच्यते
ब्रह्ममुच्यते लक्ष्यम्
अप्रमत्तेन वेदव्यम्
अप्रमेयेन
वेदव्यम्
शरवत्तन्मयो भवेत्
शरवत्तन्मयो भवेत्
भवेत्
यस्मिन् द्वौ पृथिवी चान्तरिक्षम्
यस्मिन् द्वौ चान्तरिक्षम्
ओतं मनः सह प्राणैश्च सर्वैः
ओतं मनः प्राणैश्च सर्वैः
तमेवैकं जानत आत्मानम्
तमेवैकं जानत आत्मानम्
अन्या वाचो विमुञ्चत अमृतस् एष सेतुः
अन्या वाचो विमुञ्चथ सेतुः
अरा इव रत्नाभौ संहता
अरा इव रत्नाभौ संहता
यत्र नाडयः स एषो अन्तश्चरते बहुधा जायमानः
स एषो अन्तश्चरते बहुधा
जायमानः
स एषो अन्तश्चरते बहुधा जायमानः
स एषो अन्तश्चरते बहुधा जायमानः
ओमित्येवं ध्यायत आत्मानम्
ओमित्येवं ध्यायत आत्मानम्
स्वस्ति वः पाराय तमसः परस्तात्
स्वस्ति वः पराय तमसः परस्तात्
य सर्वज्ञ सर्वविद्
यः सर्वज्ञ सर्वविद्
यस्यैष महिमा भुवि
यस्यैष महिमा
भुवि
दिव्ये ब्रह्मपुरे ह्येष व्योमन्यात्मा प्रतिष्ठितः
दिव्ये ब्रह्मपुरेषु मय्यात्मा प्रतिष्ठितः प्रतिष्ठितः
दिव्ये ब्रह्मपूर्ये पूरे ह्येष व्योमन्यात्मा प्रतिष्ठितः
दिव्ये ब्रह्मपुरे
व्योमन्यातिष्ठितः
मनोमयः प्राणः शरीरनेता
मनोमयः
प्राणशरीरनेता
प्रतिष्ठितो अन्ये हृदयं सन्निधाय
प्रतिष्ठितो अन्ये हृदयं सन्निधाय
तद्विज्ञानेन परिपश्यन्ति धीराः
तद्विज्ञानेन परिपश्यन्ति धीराः
आनन्दरूपम् अमृतं यद्विभाति
आनन्दरूपं मृतं यद्भाति
विद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिः
भिद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिः
छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयाः
छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयाः
क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि
क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि
तस्मिन् दृष्टे परावरे
तस्मिन् दृष्टे परावरे
हिरण्यमये परे कोशे
हिरण्यमये परे कोशे
विरजं ब्रह्म निष्कलम्
विरजं ब्रह्म निष्कलम्
तच्छुभ्रं ज्योतिषां ज्योतिः
तच्छुभ्रं ज्योतिषां ज्योतिः
तद्यात्मविदो विदुः न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकम् नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तम् अनुभाति सर्वम्
तमेव भान्ति सर्वम्
तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति
तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति
ब्रह्मैवेदम् अमृतं पुरस्ताद्
ब्रह्मवेदम् अमृतं पुरस्तात्
ब्रह्म पश्चात् ब्रह्म दक्षिणतश्चोत्तरेण
ब्रह्म दक्षिणश्चोत्तरेण
ब्रह्म दक्षिणतश्चोत्तरेण
ब्रह्म दक्षिणश्चोत्तरेण
ब्रह्म दक्षिणतश्चोत्तरेण
ब्रह्म दक्षिणश्चोत्तरेण
You have to mentally break it up. Dakshinatah cha uttarena. Dakshinastashchottarena.
दक्षिणश्चोत्तरेण
Adarshchordhvam cha prasatam.
अधश्चोर्ध्वं च प्रसृतं
Brahmaivedam vishvamidam varishtham.
ब्रह्मैवेदं विश्वइदं वरिष्ठम्
Iti dvitiya mundake dvitiya khandah.
इति द्वितीयमुण्डके द्वितीयखण्डः
Okay. So I'll just mute all of y'all. All right. So we had finished the third mantra in the last class, where the example of the archer, the bow and arrow, was used with the Om in it. Okay. So in this next mantra, the fourth mantra, which parts are compared to what parts in the actual spiritual journey? This is being addressed over here. So pranavo dhanuhu sharohyatma brahma tallakshya muchyate apramittena vedavyam saravat tanmayo bhavet. So tal lakshyam uchyate. So that tat lakshyam uchyate, right? It is to be broken to tat lakshyam uchyate. When the ta combined to the la, it can be pronounced either clearly as tat lakshyam or tal lakshyam. It's the same thing. from the rules. Now we look at the comparison. Pranavo dhanuhu. Okay, pranava means omkara. Omkara represents the essence of all the Upanishads, Vedanta Shastram. Thus, Om. Om is the dhanuhu, the bow. What does it represent? The entire Vedas. All the Upanishadic teachings it represents. And after uttering the Omkara, also the Amatra is there. So I discussed that last time. There are 3 matras and the Amatra, the silence. So after uttering the Om, which is 3 matra, then the silence is there, the Amatra. The Amatra represents Nirguna Brahma. The 3 matras, Uma, they represent Saguna Brahma or the universe itself. So what is created? The silence or the Omkara? The Omkara is created. So this Omkara has got a beginning, it's got an end, it is Mithya. The Omkara is Mithya, the silence after the Omkara, that is Satya. This is Pranavo Dhanuhu. Then Sharaha, Sharaha Hi Atma. That arrow indeed is the Atma. And Atma here means not Paramatma. Atma means the Jivatma. And what is a Jivatma? So Shankara gives a beautiful example. He says, Jale Surya Adivat. Just as the sun enters the water and becomes what? The reflected sun. Right? Paramatma enters the body, mind, sense complex and becomes the reflected consciousness, the Jivatma. So this entrance is one peculiar illustration used in some of the Upanishads. He says the Brahman enters the body, mind, sense complex. So that has to be understood properly. It's not that the body, mind, sense complex are independent of Brahman first and then Brahman enters it. Brahman pervades. So it's a very famous part of some of the Upanishads. Anupravashita Vakyam it is called. The sentence where it is shown as if Paramatma enters the body, mind, sense complex, enlivens it, and therefore creates a Jivatma. So he gives an example. Jale Surya Adivat. As the sun enters the water and becomes a reflected sun, similarly, the Paramatma enters the body, mind, sense complex and becomes the RC, the Jivatma. And not only that, that Jivatma, which is formed because of the entry of the Paramatma into the inert body, mind, sense complex, that Jivatma is none other than Sakshi, because that OC, which has entered the body mind complex, that remains as the witness consciousness. Not only does it enter, but it remains as a witness consciousness. And Shankara says, witness consciousness of what? Of all the thoughts which are in the buddhi and also of the absence of thoughts. So it is a witness consciousness of everything. And that is why Sakshi. So that is the second part. Then Brahma Tat Lakshyam Uchyate. So Brahman is Tat Lakshyam. Brahma Uchyate Tat Lakshyam. Brahman is said to be the Lakshyam, the target of what? Of the Jivatma arrow, of the Sharaha. So Brahman is the target, Jivatma is the arrow. The Jivatma has to hit Brahman, and not only hit Brahman, it has to stay embedded in Brahman. So Brahman is the target of the Jivatma arrow. If I claim that I am Sakshi, then it is easy for me to claim that I am Paramatma. And this word Sakshi is one of the most misunderstood words. Because there is a possibility that when I am saying Sakshi, I am saying I am the one who is watching the mind. I am the RC who is watching the mind. Therefore, I am separate of the mind, from the mind. But supposing I take the RC as we say, RC is equal to RM plus OC. So we say this RM, the mind, the reflecting medium, is an integrated part of me, then there is a problem, because I am looking upon the Anatma as an integrated part of me, the OC. So this is something which we should guard against. Whenever we say RC, remember, it is only the reflected me, it is not the real you. But the tendency is to take the RC as me. RC is okay taken as you as Jivatma, but not taken as you the Sakshi. This is one of the subtle points which normally we tend to overlook in our meditation. It's like, the spectacles on my face, right? Now, sometimes, for example, when I'm reading, I'm using the specs, but I never think of the fact the specs are there on my face, because it has become an integral part of my eyes only. The specs is almost like a part of me, and therefore I do not view it separately. Similarly, as an RC, the RM is part of me, and the problem is the RC is the thinking entity. The RC has to clearly understand that it is actually the OC, even though the thinking part of it is because of its association with the RM. The OC cannot think. It's only the RC which thinks and analyzes. But in that thinking and analyzing, it should very clearly draw a distinction that I am able to think and analyze because of the OC reflecting the RM. And therefore, I am the OC, I am not the RC. That is the understanding which you should have, right? That is why when the Sukshma Shariram travels, we say he is traveling, the Jiva is traveling. And the understanding here, the teaching here is learn to separate the mind and you. What is the advantage of separating the mind from me? Because all the kama, krodha, all the anger, all the desires, all the happiness, all the dukhs, all the sorrow, that resides where? In the mind. And therefore, if I disassociate from the mind, I have dropped all these emotions also. So Shankara says, this is the real nature of none other than Aksharam Brahma. He says, Swatmani Akshare Brahmani. This is a person who is actually looking at himself as Brahman alone. And therefore, Brahman is said to be the target of the Jivatma. Why? Because that Jivatma is none other than Brahman. And ultimately, the Jivatma has to land on Brahman and remain there. And therefore, Pranava, the Omkaro, is the instrument by which the Jivatma is dispatched to the target. So Shankara says, just as the bow is the cause of the arrow piercing the target, in the same manner, the Jivatma enters the Brahman target with what cause? Omkara being the cause. That is why Omkara is compared to the bow, because it is the bow which dispatches the arrow to the target. Similarly, it is the Omkara bow which dispatches the Jivatma arrow into the Brahman target. And though the mantra doesn't say it, Shankara adds that this Omkara has to be refined. He says samskriyamanaha. The Omkara has to be refined. Pranavena samskriyamanaha. And the refinement, we can take it as strengthened or made capable, energized with what? Abhyasa. So Abhyasa here means chanting. And that is why we keep on saying that Omkara chanting is extremely important. Chanting of the Bhagavad Gita is extremely important. Chanting of the Upanishad itself is extremely important. Because it is the refined Omkara, the sharpened Omkara, which will be able to penetrate which will be able to send the arrow with such a force that it will penetrate the target. Without that, and so you can take it as Abhyasa and proper study of the mantras also. The artha, the meaning also has to be understood. And he says that Omkara is the instrument because of which the Jivatma mind, which has been sharpened through Abhyasa, that Jivatma mind, that arrow, it enters Brahman without any obstacles. and avatishtati. After entering, it stays there. There is no question of the Jivatma arrow being separate from Brahman anymore. So he says without obstacles. And what is this obstacle? What is the main obstacle which will prevent the Jivatma from entering the Brahman target?
Our habitual tendencies, vasanas.
Ego.
No, I don't want you to use single words. Explain what does it mean when you say whatever you are saying. What is the main obstacle? Yes, go ahead.
Identification with the body-mind complex.
Identification with the body-mind complex. Shankara also says, apratibandhena means putting aside the thought that I am the body-mind sense complex. Once that is done, what remains? Only Atma remains. So actually speaking, putting aside the thought, dropping the thought that I am the body-mind sense complex is hitting the Brahman target. There is no other hitting. And just as the arrow from the bow hits the target and stays there, similarly, this Jivatma, strengthened and energized and dispatched by the teacher, using the Upanishads as the bow, using the Om as the bow, he goes and hits the target and stays there. Okay. So the words apramittena vedavyam is very, very important. You should chant apramittena very diligently. Vedavyam, you should be chanting, you should be employing the teaching, you should be chanting and studying. And the combination of both, that will enable the Jivatma arrow to strike Brahman. So this apramittena is a very crucial word over here. Normally, apramittena means what? It's something which we have seen before in Bhagavad Gita also. What is apramittena? Which is the basic Sanskrit word which is being used?
Is it aprameya?
No, not aprameya, no. Anybody?
Is it Pramana?
No. It is pramada. Okay, so Trishna pramada. It is the thirst. So for acquiring external objects, which means what? As long as you look outside you, acquisition of external objects means what? That I think that happiness lies outside me. I do not understand that the source of the happiness is I alone because of being the Ananda component of Brahman. And therefore Shankara says apramittena has to be understood as giving up the thirst for external objects with full understanding and complete indifference to that, which is what? Another name for that is Dhamma, control over the Indriyas, and Ekagrata, having one pointed mind. All these are explanations of what? Of Tattvabodha only, of those, those sadhana chatushtayam. Everything is contained here. Wherever you see anywhere, anything which indicates what is the qualification for adhikari, you should be immediately able to relate it to that sadhana chatushtayam. Some one way or the other you will definitely have. And even when Shankara says, he says with control over the indriyas and having a one-pointed mind, two words are immediately springing to mind, Dhamma and Ekagrata. Of course, Shama should also be there. So any external factor, anything external to you is an obstacle in the journey, is a pratibandha. And therefore, my priority must be very clear. I should have only one target. If there are any other targets, obviously when there are multiple targets, then the arrow will miss Brahman. And that's again, this particular thing is given in Mahabharata. In what story?
Arjuna and the bird and the
Focus on bird eye.
Arjuna and the bird's eye. Remember, everything we can correlate back to Pramanas, to the Puranas, to the Mahabharata. All this we can correlate. So this, here it is not in the sense of avoiding any other objects. You know, we must not say that when we say Brahman is the only target, it is not that we are going to avoid any other object. Why? Because that avoidance becomes a trap for us. And that is why in Drig Drishya Viveka, if you remember, there was a beautiful little line. Yatra yatra manoyati, tatra tatra samadhaya. Wherever the mind goes, the mind should see only Brahman. Yatra yatra manoyati, wherever the mind goes, tatra tatra samadhaya. If the mind is able to look at everything as Brahman, which means what? Having understood that Sarvam Brahman, and therefore whatever I see beyond the form and I see the essence. It is in this sense of seeing everything as Brahman. This is the mastery of this pattern of thinking that Shankara is saying. You have to be able to see everything is Brahman, and therefore there is no other target excepting Brahman. It is not that other physical targets are not there, but if you examine those targets, if you go to the essence of those targets, you will find that Brahman alone is the substratum. And this is the pattern of thinking which you want to have as a seeker in the ultimate lap of the journey. And therefore he says, Sharavat Tanmayo Bhavet. Tanmayo means becoming one with. Sharavat Tanmayaha Bhavet. May you become one with that Brahman. Sharavat, like the arrow. Like the arrow hits the target, becomes one with the target. May you, the Jivatma, become one with Brahman. So here, Tanmayo Bhavet is to be understood as Brahmanishtha. May you be established in Brahmanishtha. May you be established in the knowledge that you are Brahman. Continuously remembering the fact that you are Brahman, may you be living in that state. Okay. Any question?
Raviji, I think last week, did we discuss that the bow is the Acharya?
No. The Acharya is the archer.
Okay, and then the bow is this Omkara.
Bow is the Omkara. The arrow is the Jivatma, and Brahman is the target.
Okay, and when we say Acharya, it also includes Shastra.
Acharya uses Shastram. Om represents Shastram. So when you say Om is the bow, you are saying the Shastric teaching, and therefore the need of an Acharya. Acharya is not mentioned here, okay? But it is the Acharya who uses the bow to dispatch the arrow. When you have a bow and you have an arrow and your target, obviously you need somebody who will send the arrow to the target. That gentleman or whoever, Acharya, is the one who uses the bow. This we should be clear about.
And Om here represents the teaching, and that includes all the sadhana chatushtayam and everything.
Om represents everything, all the Vedas, the Purva Veda as well as the Veda Anta.
Okay.
Okay, now we chant the next verse. We have already chanted, so I'll just chant it for you. Yasmin dhau prithvi chantiriksham otam manaha saha pranaischa sarvaihi tame vaikam janatha atmanam anyo vachau vimunchataha amritaha eshaha setuhu. Those are the breakups. So Yasmin in whom, in that Brahman in whom, Dhyau is the heavens, Swarga, Dhyau, then Prithvi is the earth, Antariksham is the inner space between the heavens and the earth. Okay, Antariksham is the inner space intermediate space they call it. Then Otam. So Otam I'll discuss in detail, but right now we can take it as interwoven. Otam is interwoven with what? Manaha, mind, pranaischa sarvehi, the mind and prana of all. So that sarvaihi is an adjective which goes both for manaha and pranaha. Saha means with. So interwoven with all the minds and all the pranas of all living beings. Tam eva, him only. Ekam janataha, you should know as the one, as the non-dual one. Atmanam, Atman. So as the non-dual one Atman you should know. Anyo vachaha, any other talks, vimunchata, you should give up. Give up any other discussions or any other texts or any other readings. And this eshaha amritasya setuhu. This is the bridge to immortality. So this is the word meaning of that. So if you recall all the teachings, we can put it in 5 statements. The entire crux of whatever we are learning, we can put it in 5 statements. The first is what? I am the nature of consciousness. Okay, you can replace that with existence also, or existence, consciousness, bliss. But right now, we'll talk about consciousness because it is the most discussed portion in Upanishads. I am the nature of consciousness is the first statement. The second is, I am the only source of permanent peace and happiness. Okay. The third is, by my presence alone, by my mere presence, sannidha matrena, by my presence only, I give life to all material bodies. Number 3, through these material bodies, I experience the material universe. And part of the statement is, I am not affected by anything which happens in the material body or the material universe because I am the nature of consciousness and I am giving life to that material body by my being there. Therefore, whatever happens to the material body does not affect me. Just as whatever happens, whatever is illuminated by a light source does not affect the light source. And the last and the most important one is, if I forget this real nature of mine, which real nature? The last 4 points. If I forget that real nature, I convert life into a burden. But if I remember that real nature all the time, I convert life into an entertainment, into a blessing. So this is the crux of all the Vedantic studies which we have done so far. If you take the statements and meditate upon them, you are actually meditating upon the entire teaching so far. Okay. Now, this mantra itself is a Mahavakyam. Right? What is Mahavakyam? Anything which gives you the equation, the oneness between the Jiva and the Paramatma is Mahavakyam. So we can say, if Atma is the cause and this Jagat, the universe, is the product, is the Karyam. Atma is Karanam, Jagat is Karyam. Where is Atma available? Wherever the Karyam is there, the Karanam will invariably be present. Why? Because wherever, whatever the cause is, that cause must always be present in the Karya. So we say Karanam Karye Anuvartante. The cause is always present in the product, just like the gold is present in the ornament. Now look at the words. Yasmin Dhau Prithvi Chantiriksham Otam. Yasmin, in this Atma alone, Otam is interwoven what? The 3 lokas, Prithvi, Dhau and Chantir. Prithvi is earth, Dhau is Swarga, Antariksham is the inner space between the earth and the Swarga. Okay, so this is, in this case, the universe is being looked upon only as these three concepts. So we are not looking at in totality of all these Swargas. So here only three lokas are there: Prithvi, Swarga, and the inner space. Otam is taken as woven. Okay, now I don't know if any of you have seen the a weaving operation where cloth is being woven. So you have a long thread, it goes this way, and you have a cross thread, So the loom goes, one loom goes this way, and the other loom goes this way. One loom goes vertically, the other loom goes horizontally. The vertical loom, the vertical movement of the loom is the long thread, and that is called ota. And the cross thread is called prota. So in English, I think they call it warp and weft, or warp and woof. One is thread which goes straight, one is thread the cross thread. Okay, it's a very nice analogy. He's saying the whole thing is woven in this manner. So otam here means the combination of ota prota, or waft and of warp and woof, which gives you the cloth. So it's a nice analogy. You look at the cloth, you will find designs on the cloth, colors in the cloth. So if you maybe have got designs of birds or animals or flowers on the cloth, embroidered cloth. But really speaking, those designs are nothing but the cloth alone. And if you examine it further and you start pulling out the thread, you will find that the cloth disappears and you have the thread alone. So everything can be resolved. And therefore Shankara says that otam here means supported by. Also, you can imagine otam as being kalpitam, imaginary only. The cloth has no existence of its own. So this otam protam, which is the product, the cloth, it is dependent upon the thread itself. And therefore, ultimately, if you look at the meaning of this support, the cloth which is supported, that cloth, it has no existence of its own. It is mithya only, because its existence depends upon the thread. And then you further look at the thread, you will find that it is cotton. And you can go on regressing. Okay. Yasmin, in this Atma, all this is woven in the Atma. But the problem is that I cannot perceive the Atma. So what should I do? How should I go around looking at the Atma? So the only way to look at the Atma is what? If you want to perceive the Atma, where will you perceive?
Within yourself.
Within yourself is one thing.
And everywhere else.
Everywhere else, whatever you look at, that is only Atma. Because that is what is meant by Otam. The Atma pervades everything. It's only a question of your vision, your drishti. Are you looking for Anatma or are you looking for Atma? If you're looking for Atma, you will see it everywhere. Because that cause is changeless. It cannot change. Therefore, when I go to look for something, for Atma, what should I look? I should look anywhere with only one condition. I should look for that which does not undergo any change. I can see anything, but anything that I look at consists of two things. One is what? One is the changing portion and one is the unchanging portion. Everything that you see has two aspects, the changing and the unchanging. Whatever is changing is Anatma. Whatever is not changing is Atma. So wherever you look, you will see that there is a component of change, there is a component of changelessness. Look for the changelessness, and that is Atma. Right? So wherever we look, you say there is a tree, there is a pillar, there is a glass, there is a lamp, there is that person, there is this person. What is the commonality? What doesn't change in all this?
Isness.
The isness doesn't change. The isness is the existence that you are experiencing all the time. So that isness, that existence principle is devoid of attributes. There is no form, there is no smell, there is no attribute anywhere. Only that existence belongs to everything. And therefore, the common thread here is existence, the Atma. On that existence, then I add names and forms. So, in the Srishti Prakarana, which we saw, in the creation, which we saw at Tattva-bodha, the first Namarupa was Akasha, then Vayuhu, and so on and so forth. Even when you say that, you said space is, Vayu is, Jalam is, Agni is, right? During creation, everything is. At the time of dissolution, at the time of pralayam, nothing is there. When nothing is there, the isness continues to be there. So when you see nothing, existence, isness is still there. And therefore, Atma is the all-pervading existence. And the entire world, you can therefore divide into Namarupa plus isness. If you want to know what the isness is, the only method is to remove the Namarupa. You cannot physically remove, you have to mentally remove. Close the Indriyas, close your eyes, withdraw the mind. All Namarupas are removed. What is left is only existence. This is what is the theory of meditation, where you try to see that minimum thoughts exist, that no thought exists. In complete samadhi, what exists? Only the isness exists. That isness you are. That isness is Brahman. Because your mind has removed everything else from the range during samadhi. So you can have a question. When I withdraw from everything, when I withdraw my mind from everything, I should be able to see pure existence, right? But I don't. So the reason is because Vedanta says that pure existence which is left behind, once you remove all Namarupa, is not an object. It is in the form of Sakshi Chaitanya, the witness consciousness principle. That is what you are. You, the consciousness principle, that alone is left behind. That has to be appreciated intellectually, not through either the mind or through the perceptions. Through your indriyas, it cannot be appreciated. And therefore, the equation is pure existence is equal to pure consciousness, is equal to I, is equal to Jagat Karanam, the creator of the world. Not the body which I identify as I, but as the Sakshi Chaitanyam, which is the cause of the entire universe. And how do you say that this is what I am? Because in deep sleep, Sushupti Avastha, you exist as what? Pure existence only. You come to Jagrata Avastha through Maya Shakti. You come to Swapna Avastha through Nidra Shakti. But in Sushupti Avastha, neither the Maya Shakti is operative, nor the Nidra Shakti is operative. And therefore, at that point of time, you are only in the isness form. You exist as pure Sat, pure existence only. Even the consciousness principle is not operative because the mind is not there. Okay. So all this discussion was about the samashti so far. In the same mantra, he says, Saha Manaha Pranaisha Sarvaihi. So from samashti, from the universal, from the macro, now the mantra comes to the micro, to the vyashti, along with the mind and the prana of everybody. So interwoven with the mind and the prana of everybody. So which means what? You have at the samashti level, you have something. At the vyashti level, you have the indriyas, the sense organs that are necessary to experience the world. And they are also otaha. They are also interwoven with the same Brahman. They are also pervaded by the same Brahman. They are all nothing but Aksharam Brahman. So the Samashti level is also Aksharam Brahman. The Vyashti level is also Aksharam Brahman. And he says, Tamai Vaikam Janatha Atmanam. Therefore, know that Param Brahma alone as your non-dual self. So, this statement is a Mahavakyam. Why? Until you discover the identity between Jiva and Paramatma, you use the words Paramatma and Jivatma. Once you discover the identity that they are not different, then the words Param and Jiva, they are superfluous. They have no more meaning for you. Therefore, you drop them. And therefore only Tam Eva Janatha. You should know that only. Why? You have to go back to the first question where he said, you asked to know, knowing that, which everything will be known. And this is that Atman which you should know. Knowing that, you will know everything. And therefore, Anyaha Vacho Vimunchataha. Please give up any other teachings, any other Shastras. And here Shankara adds, having understood the Atman as your real nature, as well as the nature of everybody else, what should you do? Renounce all Shastras. And here, when he says Shastras, he's talking about Aparavidya. He says, Anyavacho Aparavidya Rupa. Anything, any knowledge in the form of Aparavidya, you must renounce. And if you renounce Aparavidya, you must also renounce all the karma which is revealed by that Aparavidya. And along with the karma, you must also renounce all sadhana also. What is this very complicated statement meaning? It means that the karma kanda of the Vedas, which is Aparavidya, has now done its work. And therefore, you have now come to Paravidya. And therefore, you should give up all Vaidika rituals. Because Vaidika rituals, what was the main purpose? It was to give you Chitta Shuddhi. Once having Chitta Shuddhi, now you do not need to waste your time on those Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga. And therefore, since you are giving up the karma, you also give up all the means of performing that karma. Because this Dharmartha Purushartha, which is the, in one word, if you want to describe the Karma Kanda and the Jnana Kanda and the Upasana Kanda, it is Dharmartha Purushartha. That Dharmartha Purushartha at this point of time, it merges, it converges into the Moksha Purushartha. Just as the Gayatri mantra which the Grahastha chants converges into and is absorbed by the Om, which the Sannyasi chants. And he says, this Amrutasya Esha Setuhu. This is that bridge to the place which has no death. Amrutasya, which is moksha, which means being free of samsara. So this wisdom alone will take you across the ocean of samsara, and hence this eshaha means this knowledge, this atmajnanam is the setuhu, is the bridge. And in his bhashyam, Shankara carefully adds setuhu eva. It is as if a bridge. It is not the real bridge. And therefore, we are all Sugrivas being chased by Vali. And who is Vali in the story of Sugriva being chased by Vali? Who is chasing you?
Your karma.
Karma. You're all Sugrivas being chased by karma. Remember that karma will come wherever you go in this universe. There is only one place where karma cannot enter. What is that? What is the one place where karma is banned from entering?
Moksha.
Paramarthika Satyam.
Paramarthika Satyam or Atma. And that was that In the story of Vali being chased, there was one mountain, remember, I forget the name, where Vali could not enter. That mountain,
Rishyamukh Parvat.
Rishyamukh Parvat. That mountain is the Paramatma, is the Atma basically, and karma cannot enter the Atma. And therefore, meditation upon the Om or study of the scriptures is the only solution to the problem of samsara. Okay, with this, the fifth mantra is over. If you have any questions. No questions? All right. Should I ask some questions? No? All right. So then we'll move to the next one. This is the sixth verse, sixth mantra. And it goes Ara eva rathana vau samhata vasanhata yatra nadayaha sa eshaha antascharate mahuda jayamanaha om iti evam dhyayataha atmanam swastivav paraya tamasav parastat. Very beautiful verse. Ara. Ara are the spokes of a wheel. Eva means just like, seemingly. Rathanabhav. Rathanabhav is one word. Nabhi means the center. So Rathanabhav is, you have to understand is that the hub of the chariot wheel, the hub of the wheel of a chariot. So the wheel is not given here. So Rathanabhav. Nabhav means center. Rathanabhav means in the center of the chariot wheel. Samhata meets. What means? What meets? All the spokes, they meet where? Spokes of the wheel meet in the hub, right? The center, Nabhav, Nabhi. And Yatra, so Yatra is Hridaye. Yatra Nadayaha. Hridaye. Nadaya means nerves. So Yatra is here Hridaye, in the heart. So it's making a comparison. Just as the spokes meet in the hub of the wheel, similarly, all the nadis, they meet in your heart. And Eshaha, this Atmanam, Antaha Charate, Antascharate, Antaha Charate, moves inside. Inside where? In the body. Bahuda, in many ways. Jayamanaha. Jayamana is appearing and disappearing. Then Om iti evam dhyayataha. Meditating on Om as Atmanam. Om iti Atmanam eva dhyayataha. Meditate on Om as the Atman itself. And Swasti. So Swasti, here it is. The teacher is blessing the student. Swasti, blessings. Swastivaha. Blessings to you. Parayaha. In crossing the shores. Tamasaha, of darkness. Ocean of samsara. Parastat, beyond. So in short, where all the nerves meet, which is the heart, like the spokes of a chariot wheel meeting in the hub, there in that heart, that Paramatma moves, seemingly becoming many. Meditate on that Paramatma as Om. Blessings to you in crossing the shores beyond the darkness. So Shruti here is saying, so remember in the Tattva Bodha, we didn't give a Golakam for the mind. Here he says, Shankara says, that the heart is the Golakam for the mind. So that we should remember. Because normally we don't think of the mind as having a Golakam. But in many Upanishads talk about the heart. And Shankara says very specifically, this is no mysterious heart. This is the physical heart. So he uses the word mamsaha. The heart made of flesh, which means your physical heart, which is the Golakam for the mind. That's it. That this particular teaching comes several times in his bhashyams. That whenever Shruti says Hridayaha, remember that it is the physical heart, which is talked about as the Golakam for the Manaha, for the mind. And therefore, Yatra Nadayaha Samhata, where the nadis meet, which is what? The heart only. And the heart is the hub through which the blood flows. It's a very critical portion because if the heart stops, your subtle body leaves the body. Hence, the heart is said to be the hub, the center of all the activity. And as I said, according to Shastram, the Golakam for the mind is the heart, physical heart, which means when the mind is at rest, for example, Sushupti Avastha, the mind withdraws into the heart and stays there. When the mind is functioning, it moves out from the physical body, from the heart, and pervades the entire physical body. So when we sleep in Sushupti Avastha, the mind goes back to its residence, which is the heart. So it has to be understood specifically that we are saying this only for the purpose of locating the mind, right? Because a subtle body really, a subtle entity like the mind, it doesn't really require a location. But Shastra says, because we are giving Golakams to all the Indriyas, and the mind is considered the sixth, therefore Shastra introduces the heart as the Golakam for the mind. Okay, then it is Ara Eva Ratana Bhav. Just as the spokes meet in the hub, similarly, all the nadis, they meet in the heart. What does it mean? At the time of the death, remember, the mind is supposed to travel through all the bodies to go to appropriate lokas, right? And Hridayam is the center of the nadi network. So what is a nadi? It is very difficult to define. So we use words like astral tubes in the body. And there are different views, okay? Now, Anandagiri, who is a commentator, he says nadis refer to the sthula shariram, to the physical body. Hence, nadi means the actual physical nerves only. There are other commentators who say that nadis are in the sukshma shariram, and therefore you cannot equate them with the nerves. So there's no conclusion about what there is, but it seems more appropriate to think of it as the sukshma shariram. And since that is not in the area of visibility of perception, the nadis can be taken to be similar, tubes, astral tubes, as they say, traveling, spread all over the sukshma shariram. Either way, it doesn't change the meaning over here. So Shastram here says on the death of the body, supposing the physical body is dying, what happens? The sukshma shariram has to leave, right? The jivatma has to leave. And normally this jivatma is spread all over the body. And therefore just before the death, what has to happen? The jivatma has to withdraw from all the parts of the body. And if you remember Yoga Shastram, it travels by which nadi? When the jivatma is leaving, it travels by which nadi?
Brahmarandra.
Brahmarandra is the top.
Oh, okay.
Brahmarandra is the top opening of the Sushmna nadi. Okay. So when the body is dying, the jivatma has to leave. So it's said that Shastram says that jivatma withdraws from all the parts of the body, traveling by these nadis. It sort of, aggregates or sort of comes to the heart and joins, and in the heart, it is completely withdrawn. So it comes into the heart. From the heart, it travels by the Sushumna nadi, comes to the Brahmandra, and then it leaves. Okay. So as I said, there is no real clarity. There are different views on whether the nadi is the physical nerve or the astral pathways. And that's why we don't want to get into an analysis of that. We'll just leave it as nadi only. What is our job? Our job is to turn our attention to the mind, to the thoughts, and then ask the question, do I know that thoughts are there? Yes. Then who is this I who is aware of these thoughts? And after asking this question, then I should turn my attention to that knowledge principle, to that awareness principle, Chaitanyam, consciousness principle, because of which I am aware of these thoughts. And that is being talked about here. Is a Saha Eshaha Antaha Charate. Eshaha Jivatma. That same Jivatma, which is the Paramatma, is very much inside you as what? As the consciousness principle, as the Chit Jivatma. It moves about. Charate. How can the all-pervading Atma move? It seems to be moving about because of the movement of the thoughts. Just like the reflection in the sun, in the mirror, the reflection of the sun in the mirror seems to move when you take the mirror from one room to another room, because it is only the reflection which can move. The original can never move. So original Atma cannot move. The RC, however, seems to be moving because RC is being reflected in the thoughts and the thoughts are constantly moving. Therefore, charate. Then Bahuda Jayamanaha, seemingly appearing and disappearing. Why does he say that? Because when the mind is active, consciousness seems to be active. In Sushupti Avastha, consciousness seems to have disappeared. Seems to have is important. And therefore it seems to come and seems to go. In reality, it is not consciousness which is going, it is the RC which is going. And it is this Jivatma which seems to be moving because of various thoughts, like angry thoughts, jealous thoughts, happy thoughts, sorrowful thoughts. And Jivatma also does activity, karma, like seeing, hearing, thinking. So when a thought is born, you can see the thought. When the thought is gone, you can tell that the thought is no longer there, it is absent. And therefore, he says, Bahuda Jayamana. Coming and going in various ways. Bahuda, in many, many ways. And because of all these changing thoughts and moments, the Atman is said to be as if coming and going. Charate Jayamanaha. So he says, that is the apparent vision. But what should you do? Om iti evam atmanam dhyata. Turn your attention into what? Into Om. That Om which is the Atmanam itself. Why does he say this? Because usually 99.9% of the time, the mind focuses on what? On changing things. And it is difficult for the mind to understand or be aware of the unchanging thing. Just like when you look at a room, you see everything in the room, but you don't see you are not conscious of the light because of which you can see the objects in the room. So changing thoughts are there. Changeless consciousness also there. And here Shruti is saying that move your attention from the changing thoughts to that changeless awareness principle. And in doing this, use Om for support. Om iti eva. To Om only. And that Om iti eva has a very special significance. It means, may you understand Om only in this manner. In what manner? As Brahman. You should understand Om as Brahman and meditate upon Om as Brahman. So Omkara Alambanaha. Use Omkara as the support for your meditation. You have to, Omkara is the verbal symbol on which you are going to invoke Brahman and then use it for meditation. And according to Shastra, Om has very many special powers. One of the powers is that it generates a Vairagya Vritti, a thought of dispassion. So Omkara is said to increase the level of dispassion when chanted regularly. And that is why when somebody takes to sannyasa, the primary mantra which he is supposed to chant is Om only, because it requires detachment so that he does not miss what he has given up. Family, relationships, objects, he should not miss, and that is why Omkara. On the other hand, for a Grihastha, too much Vairagyam is a problem. So he has to dilute Omkara with a Nama. So that's why Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Narayana. So the Saguna name of Shiva or Vishnu or Narayana, it is said to reduce the effect of Omkara on, to dilute the effect of Omkara in creating dispassion. So once you chant Om, thoughts of spouse and children, at least for a few minutes, it will be kept away. And you can focus on the consciousness principle. And hence, in this meditation, there are two clear steps. One is you chant the Omkara, you chant the Om. This will displace all other thoughts. But the Omkara thought remains. Right? Second stage is that this Omkara thought should go away. Your concentration should be so deep that the Omkara thought should also go away and you should fall into silence. That silence is the consciousness principle which I have to claim as myself. Okay. So this is what is meant here. This is the Vedantic Nididhyasana. And from here onwards, the role of the teacher has ended. Right? In Shravanam, the teacher plays an active role and Shishya is passive. In Mananam, both are active. Shishya is active by asking questions. Teacher is active by answering the questions. But in Nididhyasanam, the teacher's role is ended. Teacher cannot do Nididhyasanam for you. And therefore here, the Guru is saying that, Angiras is saying that, hey Shishya, you have completed the teaching. Now I have to ask you to practice Nididhyasana, because this is a role which only you can play. And therefore he says, teacher has no role to play anymore. Hey Shishya, you have to alone do all the rest of the work. Therefore he says, Swastivav paraya tamasa parasta. Swastivaha means, may your journey be auspicious, without any obstacles. Swastivaha. What journey is this? Nididhyasanam journey. Parayaha, where across the shore, which across what shore? The ocean of the other shore of the ocean of samsara, which is where tamasa parastat, beyond tamas, beyond darkness, beyond darkness. So may you transcend that. And with this mantra is over. I will stop for the day in case you have any questions.
So one question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Hrudaya is taken as the Golakam for mind.
Yeah.
Why can we not take the brain as the Golakam for mind?
Because Shastra says so.
Okay.
Shastra takes, and Shankaracharya very clearly says that this is the Golakam.
So the brain is not a Golakam for anything, any Indriya as per Shastra.
Not as per Shastra.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I want some feedback from you since you have a few minutes. Is it confusing? Is it clear? What do you like? Any more, repetitions of any particular part of this? How much clarity is there?
Quite clear, right?
Okay. Anything which you don't understand, any concept which is not clear at this stage?
Can we one day just have a summary, like just a flow, like kind of a translation without the Bhashyam, just the Moolam, so
Only
that we
the
can
Bha-
see the connections
Yeah,
from the
sure.
beginning till now?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
very quickly, like just line by line, that's all.
yeah,
Translation.
Yeah, surely. That can be done.
Okay, I think that will just help make the connections better from there to here.
Yeah, definitely. That we can do. In fact, what we can do is next class onwards, we can spend the last 15 minutes doing this. So that in a few classes, we complete the whole thing and catch up.
So kind of last 15 minutes will be revision of what we have already done.
Not in terms of concepts, only in terms of the running English.
Okay.
Okay, like for example, let us take the first mantra. So Brahma Devana Prathama Sambhava. We did a lot on that. But what is running English? Brahma was born as the first among the gods, right? Then he is the creator and he is the protector of the universe. He imparted Brahma Vidya, which is the basis of all Vidya, of all knowledge, to Atharva, the eldest son. That is the first mantra. Is that what you wanted, Meda?
Yes, like that. Then the flow will be more visible to us.
Okay, we can do that. So we will do that from the next mantra. So before we reach the end of this section, we would have probably covered the whole thing. Okay. Just remind me if I sort of get carried away in my this thing. Last 15 minutes, tell me, 12, 15 to tell me that now we need to look at the flow, and then we'll stop and look at the flow.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Have a great weekend, guys.